we've been talking about what Kody and Robyn are doing and how they're trying to quiet Meri, right? And how they're trying to get her to sign this INDA. And Robyn comes up with this plan right before they're about to close on Coyote Pass and wants Meri to sign this INDA, essentially telling Meri she must waive her rights, waive her legal rights to any future claims they might take, Meri might take out against them, hold them harmless for the money that they took from Meri. Okay. And force her into silence, which Meri said no through her lawyers. And they fought and they finally signed off on the property without an INDA. At the time of the sale, Kody and Robyn were set to walk away with $750,000. This is in addition to the near $1 million that they had from the profits of the sale of their hash knife home. Okay. So, in the span of several months, they sold their hash knife home. $400,000 of the $400,000 of those profits went to the down payment for that house to get the mortgage down to $1.6 million. And I think they walked away with like 900 some thousand. So there was like 400,000 more that they had on the table. Then they sell Coyote Pass. All right. The sale price is $1.5 million. They walk away with 50% of that, which is $750,000 before closing fees, along with selling fees that they pay. So the commission or the closing fees and the commissions that they pay for the real estate agent. So they had a solid $1 million some at their disposal within the span of a few short months. Okay, Kody had said on the show that he needed to sell Coyote Pass in order for him to qualify for the house that he currently lives in. Well, that wasn't true because he had already bought the house before he sold Coyote Pass. So we don't know what he did with the funds of the sale of Coyote Pass. I assumed he would put it down on his present home, right? I assumed he'd pay down his current debt. Who knows? That's what the obvious thing would do is if you have a massive amount of debt on a home, you would pay it down because he's 58 years old. Why do you want to have that kind of debt when you're 58? You're moving into your retirement ages. You don't want to have a $12,000 or $13,000 payment, right? That you're making every month. It's not sustainable, especially if the show is going to be canceled. Okay, well, they don't want to pay Meri back. They try to get Meri to sign an INDA. Meri doesn't do it. They don't get the amount of money that they want. Meri has to get 25 instead of the 1/14 or whatever it was she was meant to get. And now they just recorded a $750,000 second mortgage on their home. I have never seen anything like this in my life. So on December 31st, Kody and Robyn went to a title company and they took out a $750,000 plus interest of a credit limit. So it has a max of $750 and the lender has agreed to make advances to the borrower under the rules of the agreement. Such loans shall be of a revolving nature and may be made, repaid, and remade from the time to time. Borrower and lender consider a series of advances to be secured by this security instrument. The total outstanding principal amount due at any time under the agreement, not including charges and collection costs, shall not exceed $750,000. It is due by January 5th, 2056. They took out a 30-year home equity line of credit. That's crazy. Most credit lines are 10 years. So they're asking for basically a cash advance on their stock. They need money. If you are cash poor and you need money for whatever reason, a home equity line of credit is an easy way to gain access to the money that your home equity has, and then you can use that for whatever you want. So it's like a loan against your home for your own reasons. A lot of times, home equity lines of credit are used if you're going to do repairs on a house, which they're not doing. I pulled permits. They have no plan of doing any sort of rehab to this place. So they're not doing any repairs. Okay, so why $750,000? That's big. The agreement says that the lender has agreed to make advances to the borrower under the terms of the agreement, such advances to be of a revolving nature. The total outstanding principal due at any one time is $750,000. What it does not say is how much the original or the first share is. So it doesn't say today I'm going to give you $750,000. It just says you can simply use this as your checking account. We'll give you money on a continuous basis. What I find really strange about this is that in the past, Kody and Robyn have done refinances very fast within buying homes. I think they have a habit of getting ARMs. I think they use like short-term rate locks, like maybe a 3-year or a 5-year ARM. And I think they refinance because the interest rate ends. And then several times in the past, they have done a first and a second mortgage to avoid mortgage insurance. So it's all going still towards the purchase of the home. But here they already have a first mortgage. When they got the mortgage, it was for $1.6 million. I highly suspect that they paid down that amount, and now less than a year, 8 months after getting all that money from Coyote Pass, they're taking out a loan against their home for the exact amount that they got from Coyote Pass. What are the chances? What are the chances here? What are the chances? If they paid down $750, they'd have $750 to play with to get back to 1.66 or to whatever level that they can be at for the loan to value for the home to still keep and qualify. Because you can't be at 100%. Like no second debt is going to allow you to go to 100% equity. That just will not happen. So you have to have at least 20% ownership, generally speaking. So it's just what this tells me is that whatever money they had last year from the sale of Coyote Pass and from the sale of their home, it's gone. Which means Kody and Robyn have extremely expensive taste. Means they're spending a lot of money. Where would that money go that quickly? Kody has child support he needs to pay truly. He likely had some court fees, but that still doesn't explain where all of that money went. They haven't bought any new property. We know that Kody and Robyn love to buy stuff to fill their home. They like to buy jewelry. They like to buy doll clothes. You really think Robyn blew through $1 million on doll clothes? Is it possible that they're going to be paying back Mary? Is it possible they're preparing themselves for a lawsuit and they need the cash available in order to pay lawyers' fees? That still doesn't make sense at all. If they put all of the money into their home, like say they put the $750 they got from Coyote Pass into their home, that essentially means that the money that they got from the sale of Hash Knife is gone. It means any of that equity that they would have had and lowered their loan to value on the home, they don't care about. It's not about paying off this home. It's about using this place as a piggy bank. If you are in a good financial place, you don't generally take out a $750,000 hella lock 1 year after you buy a house. And a hella lock of $750,000 is crazy. I've honestly very rarely ever seen one that big. I don't know what's going with Sister Wives, right? I don't know if it's going to continue or not after this season. I have no clue. But the way that they've organized this is they're using their house as the piggy bank. And if you are in a good financial position, like I said, you don't need a hella lock of this size. If they're doing this to pay back Mary or whatever, it would still show that they don't have the money they need available to pay them off, to pay her off. Which is, again, insane. Consider the fact that they have been on reality television for, 15, 16 years, and they wouldn't have a couple $100,000 at their hands to pay her off. They should, either through their savings account, mutual funds, stocks, gold, whatever. They should have that money ready. Most people that are wealthy will have a large amount of money in cash for these purposes. In order to not only just afford their lifestyle, but also to, if problems come up. So what this tells me is there's no emergency fund. There's no money to pay Mary back. There's no money to pay Janelle back. There's no money at all because as soon as they make the money, they spend the money. And a home for most people is supposed to be a long-term investment, right? So my house, we bought it, my husband and I, in 2013. In that time, we have never refinanced our main mortgage, and we have paid down extra every single month on our primary loan. We have never taken out a second debt. We've never used our home wealth as liquidity, right, to pay for things. We have a separate account of cash reserves for that reason. despite the fact that I've been sued, I've still paid all of my lawyer's fees on my own. I've never had to tap into the equity in my house to cover any costs, any bills, any fees. The reason being is if you carry a high amount of debt on your home, especially in a market like this where there's increased inflation and they bought at a high point in the market, there's always risk that there could be a market crash or a bubble burst when it comes to the housing market. It happened in 2008. I worked in mortgage leading up to that. Housing prices grew dramatically very quickly. People went on a borrow spree. People were getting accepted on very high-risk loans, subprime loans. All of that has changed since the housing market crashed, but it has crashed and it's been slowly recovering until the last several years where the cost of housing has gone through the roof. And it's just the pace that the housing markets are growing right now are not sustainable long term. And something that a lot of people need to consider, and listen, I'm not a financial expert by any means, but when you see housing rates and housing markets like climb and you see the prices starting climb, I did work in mortgage, so I do understand this. There's always like a cut-off point where the rise is going to cool. So it might not crash, but it might cool. And there's usually a sweet spot you can get in where you buy at the low of the market. And then if you stay in that home, if it cools, you bought it low. So if, say, when I bought my house, what it's worth today is probably twice for what I bought it for. Could I move to another home? Sure. But I would be buying then at the top of the market, right? Buying at the top of the market is risky. It's always risky to buy because then you could buy your house this year and it not be worth that more next year. And that's what's happening in Flagstaff right now. So they bought at the top of the market. 2025 and 2024, late 2024, were the peak. There's slower price growth. There's greater inventory, fewer pending sales compared to peak times, slower price appreciation, longer days on the market. There's an increase in inventory, so there's not the same housing shortage that there once was. And they purchased the home for $2.1 million, okay, in 2024. For a couple years, homes were valuing jumping $100,000 to $200,000 in equity a year. I mean, they purchased Hash Knife for $880,000 or $890,000. Within 5 years, the home nearly doubled in price. They sold it for $1.7 what they purchased for $890. They bought at the low and they sold at the high. But then they bought another house at the high. And now a year later, Realtor has the home offered as an estimated of $101, $2.1, and $16,000, and rise of $16,000 of equity in a year. That's a falling market on a house this size, and on a price this size. They are the most idiotic business people in the world. All of this fighting that you're seeing of them trying to avoid Robyn saying that they're jealous or that, Janelle saying that it was a power move to do this. It's because she got caught backstabbing Mary, and Kody thinks that Janelle saying something about this is because, she got caught doing a side deal with me. It's all so. Now they're going to throw Janelle under the bus. But the reality is, they owe a bunch of folks money. There's always a hot chance here that Mary could sue them. They could be taking out this loan to pay her back. But then, that just increases their debt. Thus, showing when the Sister Wives show is over, they will not be able to afford this house. Kody will have a hard time finding anything where he's going to be able to make the same amount of money with the same kind of regularity as Sister Wives. He has a high motivation to keep the show going because he's locked himself in to this 30-year mortgage. And the show is showing signs of decline. Within 2 to 3 years of Sister Wives being dropped, Kody and Robyn will be bankrupt, if not faster. They are basically bankrupt, but they're not. It's cash, and that's why they're fighting with Mary. That's why they're fighting with Janelle. They can't pay them back. Even after all that money they got from last year, they still don't have the money to pay them back. So, what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.